Welcome to the Gym Heroes Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Peacock. Today's show is brought to you by Gymdesk, the easiest gym management software you'll ever use. Take payments, create marketing automations, track attendance, and much more. To try the software out free, go to gymdesk.com. No credit card or painful sales call required. Our hero today is Josh Stoneking, a competitive bodybuilder and pharmacist who creates his own supplements. In this episode, Josh cuts through all the hogwash in the supplement industry and reveals the best supplements to take and how to take them in a way that actually allows your body to absorb them. If you're a gym owner or a trainer, this is extremely valuable information that will help you deliver better results to your clients. Without further ado, Josh Stoneking. All right, welcome to the Gym Heroes Podcast, Joshua Stoneking. Same name as me, not the last name, of course, but the first name. Could you go ahead and introduce yourself and your background in fitness and health real quick?
Absolutely. So my name is Dr. Josh Stoneking. I am a pharmacist by training. That's why you see the doctor. I also have an exercise physiology degree. What I am today is I'm two things in the fitness world. Is I'm still an active competitor. I've have 11 professional victories in the natural men's physique world. Just finished my season maybe 3 weeks ago. So the spray tan is finally off. And I'm actually launching my first natural bodybuilding show here in Florida on April 29th. So I'm still an athlete 9 years later and just started to get into the promotion. Next year will be year one.
Awesome. So I'm curious to know, what does your nutrition and workout schedule look like as a natural bodybuilder? How long did it take you to build your winning physique?
Well, I'm still building it, my friend. It's not a joke. Yeah. I got into natural bodybuilding around 25 and I'm 35 today. It took me 4 to 5 years to turn pro in the natural world. So it was a long process, frustrating process. I actually got second 7 times before I could get the first place to turn pro. Fortunately, I was an athlete, football, baseball, basketball. So I had a base. But I'm still flawed, right? The perfect physique is very hard to develop. So even 10 years later, I'm still chasing that perfect physique. But I can honestly say probably around 2018, 2019 is when I really started to win. And fortunately, you know how it is in bodybuilding when you're kind of the hot ticket, right? Your physique is what the judges are looking for. I had a good run where, there's 2 years I won 4 out of 6 shows back to back each year. So, wow. You just kind of keep going, you collect your little check, and you just keep carrying on. This is actually the first season out of 6 shows I didn't win any in my professional career. So we placed top 5 a lot, but the game has changed. So that's why I said I'm absolutely still in, build the perfect physique mode.
Yeah. Cool. So I'm curious to know, how often a week do you work out? Because I'm sure it's pretty intense.
Yeah. So, and not knocking any other type of athlete, nutrition for us is number one. We can't miss, right? Your macronutrients or your meal plan, however you have it, has to be damn perfect for you to make those changes. And, I love when I see the promoters and they tell you the day of the show, like, hey, you did everything. Just relax. Nothing can go wrong. In the natural world, everything can go wrong with too many rice cakes, et cetera, because you're so sensitive to the foods. But as for the working out, for me, I'm a morning cardio person on the bike, here at the house, which I like to get started. It kind of just gets me going. And then, I'm hitting every body part roughly 2 to 3 times per week, which would be 6 days of working out. I'm kind of old school when it comes to I take Sundays off. I like to golf and I use that as kind of an active rest day and use that as kind of the refocus, relax. But every body part gets beat up about 2 to 3 times per week, just depending on the split.
Interesting. Cool. So, switching gears a little bit. So your big thing is supplements.
Yes.
That's what if I remember correctly, that is what your doctorate's in.
Correct. In pharmacy, right? So that aligns perfectly with over-the-counter supplements as well as prescription medications. So those are the 2 things that I feel really comfortable talking about, of course.
Yeah. So I'm interested. I know this is kind of a broad question, so you can narrow it down as much as you need to.
Sure.
What should we be watching out for with supplements? Because I know it's a black hole.
So you nailed it, right? So without getting too in depth, all everybody needs to know is the FDA, right, which oversees the drugs that you take by prescription, does not oversee the over-the-counter supplements. What that means is, as you alluded to, it's a black hole. The FTC oversees it, which just makes sure there is no curative claims on the bottle's label, which means if you take this, you'll be cured of cancer. So as long as you have gray information on your label, you can put any ingredient you want inside of the bottle. Okay. So what that means is we can have an over-the-counter supplement that'll say you have vitamin A and B in it. Okay. But we can throw clenbuterol in there if we want to, and there's nobody to oversee that. Okay. So you have to be extremely careful with the supplements and brands that you put in your body, especially in the natural world. And Josh, unfortunately, we see this. We see true natural competitors fail urine tests for, let's just stay with the clenbuterol example, and they actually truly did not know they were taking the product because they passed the polygraph test stating, I never took clenbuterol, but it was accidentally taken because the label did not list a banned substance. Okay. I'm not going to put any supplement companies on blast, but we can identify with a quick Google 3 major companies that have been exposed for putting performance enhancing drugs in their over-the-counter supplements, because obviously, Josh, those supplements will work better. So it's great for your gross profit and margins. But if you're a natural competitor, you have to be extremely vigilant in your research on what products you select from a manufacturer to ingest and use.
Excellent. So what should we be looking for? Are there supplements that are usually pretty good, like that,
Yes.
that are useful?
Yeah. So, when looking at the validity, let's go there first before which supplements are actually the best that will work with clinical data. You always want to look on the label for third-party testing. I'm in pharmacy mode. USP is a great third-party, let's call them quality control company that'll ensure what is on the label is in the powder. That's the key. Okay. And they do hold up to a standard where basically if you would test positive, you can go back on them for one of those substances. There's also, without plugging any supplement companies, I want to keep this vanilla. There are many supplement companies on their website that'll show you their third-party testing facilities and where they get any bulk ingredients if they're not manufacturing themselves. Some of these manufacture them themselves and are very proud of that process, and will put that quality seal on there stating, hey, these are WADA approved, right? The Olympic Drug Testing Company. So those are just some great indicators to look for. And here's what makes it tough is anybody can lie these days, right? Me and you can build a website for whatever. So, it's always best to ask around too when you see a new supplement company. One thing I like is the trusted brands who have been around for 30 or 40 years, right? Usually when you see, and I'm not going to name any names again, a new company of 2 years and they're generating more revenue than anything, and they got girls at the Arnold in bikinis dancing at their booth, probably a bad idea to buy those products.
That's a very good recognizable rule of thumb.
Yeah, probably a bad idea, Josh.
If they're balling at at these events, probably not a good idea.
Yeah, and they've only been around for, less than 5 years. There's probably something, fishy going on there.
Cool. So what would you recommend overall for general use? Because not everyone does bodybuilding. I do more of just a general strength training program myself. So what do you think is the most effective for general use building muscle?
Yeah. So general use, there's a lot of things that you have to get right before you can build muscle. And it's the same when you have to lose fat, right? The problem is you have to get your body internally prepared to grow muscle. So if you have an imbalance of your basic vitamins and minerals, you're not going to grow either, right? So we know creatine is clinically proven. It takes time, but that is basically the secret sauce for a natural athlete, okay? Creatine is naturally occurring. We don't have to argue that. We have the clinical data on dosing and the growth rates over time. It does take time, but it does work, okay? But if your insides are not healthy, so you're not, I was going to say malnourished, but basically your vitamin and mineral balance and your electrolyte balance is off, you're not going to be able to grow muscle, right? So there are arguments around multivitamins, and we see absorption rates even in the 30 to 40%. But guess what? For the average American, that's fantastic. So obviously you want to ensure your multivitamin is there to get your body where it needs to be to supplement those deficiencies in your nutrition. Okay. I'm a big advocate of fats. Okay. You need to be taking a fish oil. We have seen numerous things that goes above and beyond the synovial fluid in your joints to make them more lubricated, to where it even helps your brain activity. Okay. We've seen some great results within attention deficit disorder to help you focus. So multivitamin, fish oil is what I like to see. Vitamin D is another must if you want to grow muscle. Okay. The dosing looks scary on it because you'll see 5,000 to 50,000 IUs. That is the normal dose, guys. That is not scary. Okay. I have a lot of patients that come in and say it's way too much. It is not. So multivitamin, fish oil, vitamin D to get yourself basically prepared internally to grow. Okay. Then that's when you can absolutely add your creatine. We know the dosing. Please don't necessarily follow the instructions on the bottle. You want to follow the weight-based dosing that we have proven. The next, and we know this works really well. We have a lot of people out there with their protein powders. Please do your research on those products, as we have plant-based, we have basic whey, we have other ways that come from milk, from meat, from human, from, there's all different types. You want to make sure you find the right one for your body, because that'll help you easily hit your macronutrients on top of your meals. And basically, other than that, right, is what's going to get you going into the gym. All right. And this is one thing that I get a lot of pushback on is I'm a big advocate. Okay. I work 60 hours a week, probably like most people. I don't walk into the gym feeling fantastic. Okay. I need a little something. So, I'm a big advocate for a cup of black coffee or two before the gym. I really like the caffeine, basically, is where I'm going with this. A dose of caffeine, however you decide necessary to walk into the gym. And then on top of that, I like nitric oxide boosters, right? So your basic naturally occurring amino acids that'll help you boost your nitric oxide production so you can have some fake energy from caffeine. And then, of course, help elude that pump, because when you get that blood flow to the muscles, we're taking the vitamins and minerals and protein and creatine that we have internally to the places that it needs to go to help you grow.
Excellent. That's really good information. I didn't really think about how it would be difficult to absorb those supplements if you don't have your vitamins balanced out. And I think I'm going to add, I used to take fish oil and I stopped taking it. I do take vitamin D, but
yeah, the more you look at fish oil, the more you see the benefit within the bodybuilding and lifestyle world, on top of decreasing triglycerides and things of that nature. But what we used to state is, right, it's going to help lubricate your joints with your synovial. But now we're seeing even better and better data that shows it has even more significant value to your mind as well as the muscle. So it's cheap, right? You literally can go to Costco and it has the USP logo on it and you get buy one, get one free for $20. There's no reason you should not be taking that every day.
Yeah. I'm going to add that to my rotation now.
Awesome.
Okay. So I know testosterone replacement is it's not good for young men, I don't think. And of course, it's banned across sports. You can't be taking that because it's performance enhancing. How do you feel about something like DHEA?
Right. So we have some data on that shows okay results, right? It depends on, so here's what's crazy about the natural organizations. And I'm saying that plural. Okay. I've competed in the NPC and the WBFF untested events, right? And we know where they funnel into up top, right? But in the natural world, I've competed in 7 different federations, okay, as a professional. And I can say this, the majority of them have different testing protocols and different banned lists. I do know one organization that will actually allow TRT and they monitor your levels, which mean you could have a whole nother podcast on that conversation. Yeah. Keep those thoughts to myself. But others will list DHEA's banned and others will not. And that's why there is a lot of controversy within the natural worlds, right? So anything that's naturally occurring and can supposedly help you increase your natural production of testosterone, which that's another podcast. We can argue if there is truly anything out there or not, is okay with me. The reason I state that is as long as you're following the guidelines of your federation that says what you can take and what you can take, I'm all supportive of.
Awesome. Cool. So are there specific supplements you would recommend to bodybuilders that goes beyond fish oil and creatine?
Yeah. So you want to get yourself, again, in that state, right, where you can grow muscle. So bodybuilders take all kinds of things, right? I mean, we've seen colostrum being taken, right? That's what we've seen the bulls take, where they grow, exponentially. And we actually have some pretty good data on it. But it depends on what your goals are as a bodybuilder. We've seen the different type of fat burners, which doesn't exist, but has extracts in there that can increase thermogenesis, right? To help you kind of sweat and get in that state of fat burning. The only thing that takes chunks of fat away is clenbuterol, as we joke about, right? And Adipex works really well. But back to the supplement stacks that you want to take, okay? It's a very dangerous world out there today because there are peptides and SARMs, right? And those get lumped into the supplement world. And you see a lot of men and women take those in bodybuilding because guess what? The data's pretty good and they work, but those are all on the banned list. So it depends if you would like to stay the natural route or the unnatural route, okay? Because over the counter, you can get some SARMs and peptides and guess what? They work, okay? Maybe not as good as the injectables, but they work well enough for, a young bodybuilder to get some pretty good results. So if you'd like to stay the natural path, creatine is the secret to all natural bodybuilders. Okay. It's not a secret. Everybody takes it. I love the funny memes around it. But we know it takes time. Okay. And we know it's weight-based dose. And we know you have to keep your body saturated. So it's almost like a vitamin where you take it daily, even on the days you don't lift. The loading phase has been disproven. I remember, 10 years ago, we thought we had to take 5 to 10 times the dose for X amount of weeks to get your body saturated. That's been removed. So, of course, your supplement stack should look like this. Have your multivitamins, as we alluded to, have your fish oil, have your vitamin D, have your protein powder that you feel comfortable with, have some form of caffeine pre-workout. You also want to have what we just said, creatine. There are many companies out there that produce a good creatine product. Some are even pH balanced to where you can absorb more. We've really advanced in that field. And those are basically your 6 staples. Branched chain amino acids, obviously, we see the data there. That's kind of a waste for a lot of us. And that's just where you want to stick. And then you want to go around that to see basically what your goals are, if you can start to add any other products, right? We have some pretty good data on boron. Okay. Boron is something that can help increase production of natural testosterone. If you're looking to grow, maybe you can add that, right? We understand some of these tea extracts, which we have multiple of them, show a pretty decent thermogenesis response, right? You can add those as you want to start to cut a little bit because it will have you sweating your ass off, which we know that's a good sign to increase your cardiovascular output, hence put yourself in a fat burning state. So it just kind of depends on which direction you like to go, and then just do your research on those products or reach out to me. I'm happy to help. I design stacks for many different athletes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, you do a lot of consulting for guys. You do it on the fitness, the bodybuilding, but also the lifestyle. Tell me more about the lifestyle aspect of your coaching. What does it look like?
Yeah. So I'm really big on, I'm trying to think how to say this, balance. Okay. Because basically when I first got into bodybuilding, there wasn't balance. There just wasn't. I was all in, right? You see the videos, online, there wasn't Instagram even when I started. That's how old I am. But I would look at Frank Zane in magazines, a guy I looked up to out of California, one of the legendary bodybuilders with Arnold. And, I actually got to meet Frank. Okay. And this was kind of the catalyst. And I was fortunate enough to go out and train in his home, for 3 days. It's right outside of San Diego, and it changed my life. I was easily 7-8 years ago. We would work out. Okay. We were doing leg extensions and we're hammering it, right? And this is like a dream come true. And he's like, all right, Josh, hey, we're going to take a break and we're going to meditate. I'm like, what? I mean, my brain is in this state of, aggression and testosterone driven, and let's be this. And then he helps calm it down. He also taught me, the mental connection that we all know well with the mind to muscle, right? Where he was really focusing on his mentals on top of what he does physically. That's why Frank is still alive and well and doing fantastic in his late 80s. I mean, you've seen him at the Arnold. He looks fantastic. I just saw him at Mr. America. I mean, he's incredible. So that's when I decided, like, hey, with the people that I help, we got to go in the lifestyle. And what do I mean by that is bodybuilding can be your life and it doesn't have to be, right? And you can take any approach you want. Obviously, the Olympia is coming up, and you'll read what these guys say, I'll die for this and do anything. And I love that approach. It's just not my approach, right? We all have our differences, okay? And that's obviously why I'm not an IFBB Olympian, right? Maybe I don't take it as serious as some of them do. But that's why I get a lot of clients, right? Is there are ways for you to have some of the foods that you would like, okay? There are ways for you to incorporate travel, and things that you enjoy doing while still being, a bodybuilder, a bikini athlete, etc. And those things all basically just come down to numbers, right? Whether it's your macronutrients, your calories burned, when you can get in, and kind of how you can do that. One of the secrets I always have with my clients is, we ensure that they have a meal prep bag that they can carry with them just about anywhere, right? No excuse. Take your meals wherever. Don't just sit at home, right? If you have X, Y, and Z to do, you can take your meal. It's not a problem, right? Or there's always a gym or a treadmill anywhere. Don't cancel that trip. I had a lot of people like, hey, I got a trip coming up. I'm not going to go because of this. Please go, right? Flying on a plane is not going to change your body that much. We know that. But that's where we look at it. And a lot of thing is I'm big on fruits, okay? And that's one thing that a lot of my clients just can't believe, because every other coach cuts out fruits, and we understand why. But we also understand why I incorporate them, right? There are things that we cannot put into a tablet or a capsule that are inside of fruit that are beneficial to your body. So just little things like that, which kind of keep their mentals in a better place moving forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got into the whole carnivore thing, and I'm not really carnivore anymore, but
right.
I realized there's a lot of guys in the carnivore community that were like, hey, you should add fruits back in, because the electrolyte imbalance is kind of a problem if all you eat is meat.
Could get nerve-wracking on your internal organs. I mean, if you only knew what potassium can do to the human body, you'd be shocked, right? I'm telling you.
Yeah. So I eat, bananas and oranges and things like that. Those are definitely good things to have, especially after, a good jujitsu session.
Yes.
You're pretty depleted.
Absolutely. Nothing better than that. You're not kidding.
Yep. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. It's been really action packed. Where can people reach out to you if they want to know more info or they want to know about your coaching?
Sure. So for me, basically it's Instagram at The Only Stoney. My last name is Stoneking, so most people call me Stoney. So The Only Stoney on Instagram is the best way. You can just type in my name, Josh Stoneking. It is listed on there. That's what I check the most. I don't use Facebook much, and LinkedIn is for my pharmacy world. So anything bodybuilding or fitness related, I'm happy to help. And you can just find me on Instagram at The Only Stoney or Josh Stoneking.
Excellent. Thanks for coming on, man. Maybe we can do this again sometime.
Yeah, let's do it again for sure, Josh. Thank you so much for having me, man. Greatly appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.